Hello and welcome to the presentation of the performance of UPM and Stora Enso in 2023 and 2024, mainly focusing on the 2024 performance of the two companies. My name is Aku Teutari. The contents of the presentation are going to be as follows. We are going to start by introducing the two paper manufacturing companies and then go and look into their financial statements. First, we are going to start by looking at the 2024 income statements of the companies. Second part is a look at their 2024 balance sheets, followed by the final slide, which is a look at their 2024 key financial ratios. And finally, I am going to summarize my findings of the two companies in the recent years. First, a quick look into the two companies. As mentioned, both of them operate in the forestry industry. UPM is a Finland-based company. It has been operating since 1870, and its main products are cellulose fiber, paper, and wood products. UPM is the largest plywood manufacturer in Europe, and recently the company has also gotten into the development of biofuels. Their newly appointed CEO is the gentleman called Massimo Einaudà from Italy, who started his service in 2024. Stora Enso is another paper manufacturing company with a long history starting in the 1200s. Nowadays, Stora Enso is the world #2 print paper manufacturer, and they are also a big manufacturer of packaging materials. They are also based in Finland as well as in Sweden, and their also newly appointed CEO is Mr. Hans Sohlström of Finland. Let's go into the income statements of the two companies. In my graphic on the left hand side, you can see the figure that we are going to look at, and this column shows the figures for UPM and this one for Stora Enso. As we can see, both of the companies had a fairly similar turnover. The figures are reported in millions of euros, so UPM had a turnover of a little over 10 billion euros, and Stora won just over 9 billion euros. Then looking at the second row, we can see their EBIT, which was far larger for UPM, as well as the profit. UPM netted a profit of 464 million euros, while Stora Enso was not able to be profitable at all in the year 2024. Both of the companies had fairly substantial financial expenses, but Stora still had more than double of those of UPM, which it can be a part of the explanation in the difficulty staying profitable. Also, there an interesting figure for forestry companies is the change in the fair value of their forest assets, which for Stora Enso was far larger than for UPM. Now for the balance sheets. UPM had little more than a third of Stora's investment properties, so Stora is far more invested as a company. In terms of deferred tax assets, UPM had the far larger figure. Again, these are in millions of euros. And the reserve for invested unrestricted equity was also far larger for UPM, so they are in that aspect they are more invested, but Stora has the far larger forest assets. Their translation differences, which is the result of profit or loss in terms of currency exchange, was far luckier for UPM. And an interesting figure is the amount of short-term non-interest-bearing liabilities, which for Stora was magnitudes larger than for UPM. Finally, a look at the financial ratios of the two companies. UPM was able to operate at a far larger margin and a better return on equity, while Stora was not able to make any returns at all in 2024. The quick ratios and the operating cash flow ratios for both companies were fairly similar. The operating cash flow ratio for both companies is fairly low, which is unusual for forestry companies, but is replaced and helped by their better current ratios. So it is safe to say both companies are fairly soluble. And as far as the debt to equity ratio is concerned, UPM was on a healthier level of the two companies, while both of them were still quite healthy. To summarize, it can be said that UPM in 2024 was the better performer of the two companies, while they operate fairly similarly and in quite the same scale. Um, the margins in the forestry industry are thin as usual, but growth is still there for both of the companies, while they have both recently changed CEOs, so looking for a new direction. As mentioned before, UPM was the luckier one in terms of currency management by hundreds of millions of euros, which is remarkable. Both companies are doing okay in terms of both liquidity and solvency, and Stora seems to be more invested in forest assets, while UPM has a larger inventory as well as other investments. Thank you for your time and have a nice day.